Dawn breaks over the Somme, its mist glowing red like open wounds. July 1st, 1916. The British Empire prepares to charge into hell. Over 120,000 soldiers wait in the trenches, convinced victory is inevitable. For 7 days, artillery pounded German lines without pause. But most shells fell short, scratching only the mud above concrete bunkers. When the whistle blew, they rose and walked, not ran, into gunfire. German MG-08s began their harvest, cutting lines of men like wheat. In 15 minutes, thousands vanished in gray smoke and red soil. By noon, 19,000 men were dead, history's darkest dawn. And yet, what if that sky had held something else? Imagine a sound unknown to 1916. A deep metallic roar beyond thunder. A shadow tears through the clouds. The F-22 who are doers the 21st-Century and today dan status answer has a weapon born a century too late, now misplaced in time. Its skin deflects radar, its engines twist air like invisible blades. To these men, it isn't an aircraft. It's a myth made of metal. At 20,000 feet, the Raptor locks its first coordinates through the mist. The JDM bomb drops, a spear of precision striking the first bunker. Concrete dissolves in a white flash, echoing across miles of trenches. Radio wires snap. Every German phone line goes silent. Then another bomb, then another, falling like divine punctuation. The Raptor banks left, engines screaming softly under Mach 2. Its AESA radar scans hundreds of heat signatures in seconds. A pair of AIM-9X missiles streak out, vanishing into cloud. Below, explosions bloom in perfect order, the geometry of destruction. For those beneath, there is no warning, no enemy, only judgment. Gunther, a German machine gunner, checks his MG-08 for the 10th time. He has heard British shells all week. This silence feels wrong. Then comes a single note, a whistle, like steel dragging across heaven. The ground erupts, a clean, straight line from left to right. His comrade disappears, the bunker becomes dust. Gunther looks up. Nothing in the sky, only a shriek of wind. Der fliegende Tod, he murmurs, flying death. Fear spreads faster than the blast wave. For the first time, the German line doesn't fire back. Above them, the F-22 circles, unseen, unchallenged, unstoppable. In the British trenches, soldiers wait for the next command. No machine gun fire answers their whistle. Smoke rises where fortifications used to be. An officer peers through his binoculars. They're gone! Forward, he cries, voice trembling between terror and hope. The men climb out. No bullets meet them. No man's land is silent for the first time in history. They run, not to die, but to believe. Some weep while crossing the craters where friends once fell. Overhead, the Raptor gleams like an angel made of steel. In a command dugout, Haig stares at the map, speechless. Reports flood in, enemy positions destroyed, resistance gone. German officers send coded telegrams. We face a weapon from God. Entire divisions collapse without a single British loss. In 4 hours, the Battle of Somme is reversed. Yet inside the cockpit, warnings flash amber. Fuel dropping fast, no JP-8, no base, no future here. The pilot switches to manual override, scanning for flat ground. He knows once the engines die, so does the miracle. The Raptor descends, cutting through ash and gun smoke. It touches down on scorched earth, metal groaning like a wounded beast. British troops approach, eyes wide with holy terror. One touches the wing. It's warm, alive. They stand in awe around the fallen angel of their salvation. For them, war has just changed its shape forever. Rumors spread. A weapon from tomorrow saved them today. Commanders argue, was it divine intervention or dark science? Engineers draw sketches, trying to recreate what they don't understand. Historians will later call it The day war met its future, but for the men who lived it, it was simply a day they didn't die. Decades later, strategists would study that phantom event. They'd see how one machine erased millions of tons of steel and fear. They'd realize that technology is never merely a tool. It's a mirror. It shows how far we can reach and how fast we forget why. The ghost of the Somme still haunts the idea of progress, because every breakthrough carries a shadow. The price of power. If F-22 had truly appeared, it would save thousands and terrify millions. It would force generals to redraw the very rules of war. Victory would no longer be about courage, but control of time and tech. And humanity would learn nothing from its own salvation. The Somme would end that afternoon, but its lesson would just begin. The F-22 was a preview of our destiny, machines fighting for men. A century later, we still chase the same illusion, perfect war. A war without blood, without fear, without end. History doesn't repeat. It updates its software. The ghost that fell at the Somme was never found again. Maybe it returned to its own century, or vanished with its purpose fulfilled. But its impact remains etched in every jet that followed. Every radar ping, every guided bomb owes a debt to that myth, because sometimes the future visits the past to warn it. The Somme was once a graveyard of hope. With the Raptor, it became a mirror of human ambition. It asked a question that echoes still. What will we do when we become gods? And will we be merciful enough to stay human? Maybe the F-22 that destroyed 600 was never real, and the warning is power without context is just noise, and war loves noise. Courage without understanding is tragedy waiting for a machine. The Raptor proved that one weapon can rewrite civilization overnight. But it also proved how fragile our definitions of honor really are. What the men of 1916 saw as a miracle was just physics arriving early. Honey, if time had a sense of humor, it laughed that day. It gave them a glimpse of a century they could never survive. And then it took it back, leaving only smoke and stories. The battlefield fell silent, as if history itself was catching its breath. The war went on, but the world would never be the same. Technology always arrives before our wisdom does. The F-22 at the Somme was not a weapon. It was a lesson, a reminder that progress without perspective is just destruction in advance. Had it been real, it would have saved 1 million and changed them forever. And perhaps that's why it never was. Because history needs its pain to teach its peace. The Raptor remains a ghost in our collective memory. Every time we invent a new weapon, it whispers from the past. Remember the Somme. Not the battle, the warning. And so the future waits quietly, just above the clouds.